Hey everyone, Big Sloth's back again with another video of playing Bolt Gun and yapping about whatever topic my ADD brain is attracted to. Today's topic is about video games and how to make them look good forever. Don't forget to hit that like button or subscribe if you like my content, or leave a comment if you have anything you'd like to add. With that out of the way, let's get to the video. Now, when I was a wee lad in the 2000s, video games were all about realism. Now, I've mentioned this before, but when I was younger, I played mostly DS games or PSP games, so I didn't really care much about realistic graphics, needless to say. And kind of to this day, I still don't. Gameplay is more important than graphics, and I think most of us can agree on that. But back in those early 2000s, especially for console games, every game presentation was about the graphics and realism, and it feels like you're actually there. I think the reason why is 3D graphics were still pretty young at this point. Definitely when it comes to true 3D graphics. True 3D graphics came out in the late 90s, and the reason why I'm clarifying and saying true 3D graphics is because gaming companies used different tricks before the late 90s to make games look 3D, even though they were still pretty much 2D games. You know, there's this term online and it's called a 2.5D game, and that's where that comes from. Now, as I said, by the late 2000s, 3D graphics were barely 10 years old at this point. And if to be completely honest, the graphics evolved very quickly. I mean, take Quake 1 and compare it to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and just realize how big of a difference that is in about 10 years. If you look at the past 10 years of games now, so 2015, since then, graphics haven't really changed much, because when it comes to the entertainment industry, we absolutely kill it in developing new technologies. However, because these companies in the early 2000s really promoted this idea of realistic graphics and whatnot, these games have aged rather poorly, at least in the way that they look. You know, it's not to say these games look bad by any means, but these games look like they were made in the 2000s, if that makes sense. A lot of early 2000s games have this dull gray filter to them, and that's because they were aiming for realism. But years later, it just makes the game look, dull and gray. Now, I don't want to talk about it too much because this video is all about how to make graphics that last forever. But nowadays, big companies don't push for realism like they used to, and that's because our graphics are just, top tier as it is. So now the big topic that all these companies talk about is performance and how the game runs, what's the fidelity at, that kind of stuff. And it's not important to this video's topic, but I just wanted to say that. So how do we fix this push for realism, or how do we make games that look good forever? Well, we don't aim for realism, we aim for stylization. Stylized games will look good forever, so let me name a few examples. The OG Doom 1 and Doom 2 still look good 30 years later, mainly because of those sweet sprite-based bad guys. Now, the texturing of the environment in the OG Doom games definitely shows some age, but it still looks good regardless. Another game is the one I'm playing right now. Bolt Gun is a boomer shooter inspired game, and its sprite-based gameplay, it will age gracefully in the future. Like I said, this game might be only 2 years old, but its style will never grow dull. Another game that's not sprite-based that will look good forever, at least to me, is Halo Reach. Now, that might be more biased because of my nostalgia, but if I hop into that game again, it still looks good to me all these years later. 15 years later? I think when we all talk about stylized games, another topic would be like cel-shaded types of games, and Borderlands is the big game that comes to mind. Borderlands will always look good. I still play Borderlands 2, and even on the Switch, it just looks so amazing. Maybe not the PS Vita, but we don't talk about that. That game will never look bad because of the amazing art style that it has. Unfortunately, that doesn't save Borderlands from other types of controversy recently. But I also think stylization is a big reason why indie games are on the rise today, because they don't push for realism, they push for style. Even new games like Megabonk, that's killing it because of its simplistic 3D style, Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 1 and Hades 2, you name it. Indie games don't push for realism because they are indie. You know, they probably don't have the budget for super duper realistic graphics. But they also know that no one is going to buy their product because of their brand. They're indie. Their brand isn't well known, at least not yet. So they have to make games that stand out from the rest, and games that are super fun and engaging to play. See, games that are realistic, they all look the same because they're all aiming for realism, so there's nothing to separate them apart from each other. But stylized games separate themselves from each other and stand out to the audience. And stylized games always tend to pull me in more, and I think that's because of my childhood playing a lot of portable games. They never had the hardware power of consoles, so developers had to think outside of the box and find unique ways to make their game fun. I don't know if you guys remember this, but in the 2000s and early 2010s, every single movie had a tie-in game. And the console games were always some sort of first-person shooter, low-budget Call of Duty knockoff. But the DS versions of these games actually went so hard. The one that I'm really thinking of right now is the Battleship movie tie-in game. The console version, like I said, was an FPS clone. But the DS was actually a turn-based strategy game that went hard. Well, that's all I really had for the script for this video, so now we're just going back to my usual ramblings. You know, I really do think that my time as a Nintendo DS player affected how I look at games for the future. Yes, because I love portable consoles, so, you know, the Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch, even though I don't really want to get a Switch 2, and probably will never get a Switch 2. But those old DS games, they changed my brain and how I play video games. There were some other tie-in movie games that were pretty good. You know, some of them weren't even that bad on console, like the Transformers movie tie-in games. Now, I never really played those games on console, I only played those on the DS, but I did have Fall of Cybertron for the console, which was an amazing game. Gosh, I just cooked the sorcerer with that grenade. I mean, we're about to finish the first part of this campaign, and then we'll have 2 more sections to go through, maybe 3 if I do the DLC as well. I just need to find him. He has like barely any health left. I just need to find where he's hiding. Oh, there he is. Can I get him from afar? I can hit him, but can I kill him from afar? No, he teleported. Where are you? Where are you, little sorcerer? Be gone. Be gone. Be gone, thou fool. There we go. I like how I just ignored him. I walked up to him, tried to shoot him, missed, and just decided why not just find something else. I'm sure he's up here. Let's go. Yep, I see him already with a little firepower. We can probably just take him down with a few shotgun blasts because he does not have a lot of health. Oop, he teleported again. Where'd he go? Oh, right there. He was using someone as a shield and then decided to stop. Get back here! Get back here!
Investigators databanks. Incommodus has detected information on the power source. Truth. Seems the foul heretics are still one step ahead of us. These files have their clumsy marks all over them. The fragments inside some kind of vault. You'll have to move quickly if you're to get there before that infernal sorcerer.
Anyways, I know that was a long, rambling session about games and stylization. I hope you all enjoyed it, even though I feel like I went on a few different tangents there. If you would, please like and subscribe or comment if you want to add anything. And as always, stay safe out there and bye-bye everyone.